Hello everyone. Welcome to BYK Book Summary. I am Amin. Here we decode the inspiring journey, mental warfare, and empire building life lesson of the world's greatest legend. Today topics and their biggest secret are right on your screen. Let's dive in with my AI co-host.
Have you ever wondered what makes a leader truly influential? I mean, not just for a few years, but for millennia? We're about to dive into a life that literally reshaped the world. It's a story all about character forged in hardship and leadership defined by compassion.
So, this number, 1, it's not just a random number. It actually points to a very specific and pretty profound ranking.
Okay, so there's this famous book by historian Michael Hart called The 100. It's his ranking of the most influential people in all of history. And his choice for the number one spot, well, it surprised a lot of people. He put Prophet Muhammad right at the very top. Why? He argued that Muhammad was supremely successful on both a religious and a secular level. So, no matter your personal faith, this is a story about leadership and the human experience that just commands attention. Let's get into why. All right, so our story doesn't start with power or privilege. Not at all. It actually begins with loss, and with a character being forged in the tough desert city of Makkah. And this beginning, this is the foundation for everything that comes later. I mean, just try to imagine this for a second. His father died before he was even born. Then, at just 6 years old, he loses his mother. And then at 8, his grandfather, the person looking after him, is also gone. He's an orphan with basically no safety net in a really harsh world. And yet, somehow, in the middle of all that loss, he builds this incredible character, this unbreakable integrity. It would end up being his single greatest asset. So you have to understand, in the bustling, super competitive world of Meccan trade, your reputation was everything. Your word was your bond. And Muhammad's word, it was like gold. People started calling him Al-Amin, the trustworthy. And this wasn't some nickname he gave himself. The entire city gave it to him because of his unwavering honesty. His reputation was so solid that even people who would later become his enemies trusted him with their most valuable possessions. That, right there, it tells you everything. So for years, this was his life. A respected merchant, a husband, a father. Pretty straightforward. But then, when he turns 40, something happens in a solitary cave that will change not just his path, but the course of history forever. Yeah, just picture it. Leaving the noise and chaos of the city behind, climbing up the rocky hills to this place called the Cave of Hira. It's quiet up there, just you and the stark beauty of the desert. He would go there to meditate, to find some clarity. And it was in that quiet, solitary space that his life would be completely altered. Iqra. It means read. That one word, that was the first word of the revelation, a divine command that would kick off a spiritual revolution. And what's really amazing is this command, read, was given to a man who was known to be unlettered. It was a profound, transformative moment and the very beginning of a mission that would last the rest of his life. So, that moment in the cave, that's the start of a prophetic mission that would stretch on for the next 23 years. At first, he kept the message very quiet, sharing it only with his wife Khadijah, who was actually the first person to believe, and his closest friends. But that peaceful, private beginning, well, it wasn't going to last. Because as the message started to spread, so did the opposition. The powerful leaders in Mecca felt their authority was threatened, and they responded with brutal persecution. The most vulnerable people, the poor, the enslaved, they got the worst of it. The story of Bilal, an Ethiopian slave, is just a harrowing example of their courage. He was pinned to the scorching sand by a huge boulder and ordered to renounce his faith. His response? Just a whisper. Ahad, Ahad, one, one. It became a symbol of the incredible conviction that defined this early community. The situation in Mecca just kept getting worse, so bad that it escalated to an assassination plot. Staying was no longer an option. A critical decision had to be made. A migration that would be the ultimate test of strategy, resilience, and faith. This journey is called the Hijra. And let me tell you, it was a massive gamble, a life-or-death escape through the desert with assassins on their trail. It was a moment of deep uncertainty, but also incredible hope. It was a chance to build a new community, one founded on justice and compassion. This journey is so significant that it marks the very beginning of the Islamic calendar, a new era. So he arrives in Medina, not as a conqueror, but as a peacemaker. And the city was a mess, a patchwork of warring tribes and religious groups. His first move was a masterstroke. He created the Constitution of Medina.
And for its time, this thing was revolutionary. It wasn't about one group being supreme. It was a social contract that guaranteed rights for all citizens, Muslims, Jews, everyone. It was essentially one of the world's first charters for a multi-religious state.
But building a new community didn't mean the conflict was over. Not by a long shot. The threat from Mecca was still very real, and it led to a series of confrontations that would test his leadership in victory, in defeat, and in defense. Yeah, those early years in Medina were a constant fight for survival. Look at the Battle of Badr. They were outnumbered about 3-1 but pulled off a stunning victory. Then, a year later at Uhud, they were defeated and he was even wounded himself, a painful lesson in patience. And then you have the Battle of the Trench. A massive army shows up and he listens to a new idea from one of his companions from Persia. Dig a giant trench. It was unconventional and it totally baffled their enemies. It just shows he was a great strategist, but also resilient and open to new ideas.
Okay, so all of this builds to the climax of this incredible journey. After years of war and exile, he is finally going to return to the city that cast him out, the city that tried to kill him.
10,000 strong. Imagine that, an entire army marching on Mecca. The city that had hunted them, tortured them, and driven them from their homes was now completely at their mercy. The balance of power had completely and totally shifted.
So just for a moment, put yourself in his shoes. The people who mocked you, who beat your friends, who forced you from your home, they are now powerless before you. What do? Do you give in to that urge for revenge? It would be understandable, right? Or do you choose a totally different path? He chose forgiveness. In his moment of absolute power, when he could have done anything, he declared a general amnesty. There would be no reprisals, no revenge. This quote from Martin Lings's biography just captures the moment perfectly. This wasn't just a smart political calculation. This was an act of profound spiritual leadership. It was a demonstration that true power, true victory, isn't about domination. It's about compassion.
And so his journey comes full circle. It began with an orphan who had nothing but his own integrity, and it ended with a leader whose legacy wasn't just about victory, but was defined by those same qualities: unshakable character, incredible resilience, and transformative compassion.
Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. What is the true measure of victory? Is it what you can conquer and control? Or is it the grace you show when you fight?
So, friends, that was the complete breakdown. Make sure to take a screenshot of this growth gift, this infographic, so this lesson stay with you. If you want to learn from legends every single day, join our community. I am Amin. Always remember, read more, think deeper. Let me know in the comments who we should cover next. See you in next episode.